Right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Biashara Tuesday on KUTV, Rise Today, where it's a show where we are really focused on educating you, informing you, and entertaining you. We are giving you a whole package. Just before we went for the break, we were talking about a conversation, an interesting conversation that we are having this morning on giving you guidelines on what is to happen after your KCSE. As a student, as a parent, if you have a friend who just concluded their KCSE and they're not sure what they want to do with their life, or not sure which career path they're taking, not sure if they're venturing into business, not sure if they're venturing into their entrepreneurship, not sure if they're venturing into apprenticeship and learning in the process of working, not sure if they're going to school and also juggling between working and being in school. This is the place to be. You're right. You're on the right place this morning. I want to assure you that. So our guest is already in studio. That is Jared Ochieng, Principal, Starehe Technical Training College. Jared, thank you so much for making time. How have you been?
Pleasure, Sylvia. Thank you very much. I've been fine, thank you. And great honor to be here with you at KUTV.
Interesting, interesting. Now, just to set this ball rolling, someone who has just concluded Form 4. I concluded my Form 4 when I was 17.
Oh.
I concluded my Form 4 when I was 17. And there is so much pressure. At Starehe, what is the youngest age of learners that you receive?
Thank you, Sylvia, for that. It's interesting. And first I want to congratulate you because
Thank you.
You must have gone to school when you were very young. And that opened so many doors for you. Well, I would say that the specific age for joining college, but the general age is from 18 years. But you may have those who complete their Form 4 before that. But nevertheless, it's good to hear that, and good now to educate the nation on the way forward.
What's your life like as a principal? Because being a principal means you have been a teacher, you have risen through the ranks. How is it like being a principal?
Thank you very much. Well, it's an honor because on every single day you've got a lot to do. You perform quite a lot. At one point you play the role of a parent because you have to really monitor what's happening around. Sometimes you also have to wear the shoes of a counselor because generally a principal deals with teenagers. These are students whom, as you've said, are just from high school, and they're getting into new life, so they require a lot of counseling. You also need to be an educator because at the end of the day, it's all about coming to college to get education. So in a typical day, the role of a principal is quite a busy one. You also have to receive visitors here and there, inquiries on admissions, receiving parents, and then also monitoring the staff and also the staffing.
Interesting, interesting. Well, you're receiving students, having them on board, being a parent, being a counselor. From experience, do you think that these young people, especially those who are just done with their KCSE, do you think the society is really mounting so much pressure on them on you need to figure out your life, you need to know what you want? Do you think there is so much pressure on them at that age?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of pressure, and to me, I look at it as very, very unfortunate. When the results for the KCSE 2024 were released, I'm sure you heard of stories where some even took their lives because they thought they didn't perform as they should have. We also have a lot of expectations from the society in terms of performance, and this comes depending on where a student has been placed. Probably somebody went to a national school or a county school, and generally the expectation is that you can't be in a national school and you're coming out with less than A, or you can't have performed so brilliantly in class 8 only to come back with this grade, which the society deems unfit. And with that background, that now forms the psychological backlog in which the student now, or this teenager, feels a little bit more confused. And then there's the issue of comparing yourself with the rest. Probably in the same neighborhood, there's somebody whom you schooled with, probably in the same class, appears to have outsmarted you, probably seen to have performed probably better in some subjects that you felt you should have done much better. So all these will at the end of the day result into confusion, which is likely to lead into wrong decisions that will ultimately lead to regrets probably at some point in life.
Now that we are still at it, let's talk about grades. Is it just a myth that if you scored the C+ or the cutoff joining campus is the only chance for you to get a degree that you want, or are there other avenues where one can follow? For example, someone got a D or just a grade. Is there hope for this person in terms of proceeding?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, Sylvia. First, I want to congratulate the lot that probably obtained C+ and above, not only just 2024, but also in the previous year, because at one point you also needed to encourage hard work in secondary schools and make students aim higher. And if they have the ability to achieve, let them, and so be it. But then at the same time, you also need not to denounce those who maybe don't meet that, because we have, in a general examination, we don't expect everybody to be an A student or a B student or a C student. There'll be those who will meet the minimum university entry grades, and there'll be those who will fall short of that for one reason or another. And maybe before I expound more on that, I want to categorically explain that sometimes students do not meet the minimum university entry grades because they didn't have that ability to. There are so many factors that can lead to that. Probably somebody sat exams when he was unwell, or somebody must have lost a loved one, or somebody had whatever reason, and that can lead to less score from what was expected. But nevertheless, the good news that's available is that there is no formula for getting to degree. You can get to degree straight through university admission. You can also start from the very basics. And the very basic, in this case, I'm referring to an artisan program where you get into a college, a TVET college with a grade, say, D-, because such courses normally take a minimum of 6 months, especially if it's a business course, and 9 months if it is a technical course. Then once you sit that external exam for the end of that course, the doors open. You now have the ability to progress to certificate level, which you are going to spend 1 more year or so, and you are graduating again. And if you score well, that is a grade pass or a credit or a distinction, you are able again to progress. You upscale to diploma. You take 1 or so again or 2 years, and you are graduating again. And before you know it, you've enrolled for that degree that somebody went straight into with a C+ and above. And because we are supposed to keep aiming higher, even with that undergraduate degree, there are still doors for going for postgraduate degrees. You enroll into your master's, and later on you enroll for doctoral studies, the PhD, and even become a professor. So all these are avenues that are available, and there's absolutely no reason for losing up and saying that because I scored a D plain or a D+ or a C-, my life is ending here. No, 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 no. You simply probably may take a longer path as opposed to somebody who goes direct to the university.
Okay, you've talked about there is no excuse for you not to proceed to the degree or the course that you want. But tertiary education comes with heavy fees. Do you think there is a failure, or is it a failure really on the government side in terms of balancing the cost of tertiary education?
All right. Thank you for that question. Well, I'll say that's relative. Okay, when we talk about the government, we have support that the government gives to TVET institutions in terms of funding, in terms of even training and also curricular development. But then when it comes to probably what we call the private TVET institutes, there is generally no standard of setting fee. There is no standard fee which you can say, now this is the general fee that must not be surpassed. And that then makes the question, can we really afford? Because honestly, a lot of youth have ended up being locked out of accessing tertiary education because of the issues of affordability. The general fee structure in our colleges in Kenya seem to be high. And we have quite a number, especially those who are vulnerable, who are not able to access, because the amount that they're supposed to pay per semester or per term, they just can't afford. If anything, probably they went to high schools through support, through Harambes. But here, they are getting into courses which are supposed to take 2 years or so, and they're supposed probably to sponsor their themselves. They are supposed to cater for accommodation costs, the transport costs, and the research and all that. But what I can now maybe mention is that it probably depends on which institution you are going to, because we have institutions that have mechanisms of supporting the youth to ensure that they're able to access that education. For example, if I may mention what we do at Starehe Technical Training College, we even have 100% sponsorship, depending on who. Because we have to do background check and find out, does this student really deserve? Because again, those who have false information, they come and deceive that they're supposed to fall in that scholarship bracket. But when you do a background check, you realize that they're actually coming from well-off families. So there's a formula that we use and ensure that, especially if they're coming in a group of 5, 1 out of every 5 is given automated 100% sponsorship after doing that background check. Then for the general students, those who join us, whether you are from a well-off family or from an average family, we are giving them 50%. And this is intentional because we want to break that barrier of having very high fees for college education and have it as accessible as possible.
So you've talked about fees. Just before we proceed, are there alternatives for someone who really they can't manage college fee?
Definitely. There is, we have what we call the work-study programs. If somebody can't afford totally, we have jobs that this person can be given, and then they enroll for alternative study mode. Because definitely you need to work during the day, and this is when, again, classes are supposed to be. So we have the evening classes, we have the weekend classes. So somebody can work during the normal study hours and then go to class in the evening, or work during the weekday, then go to class in the weekend. We also have the online classes. So there's absolutely no excuse for not getting educated, because if it's about fees, we have ways of catering for that. It's about any other thing, we have mechanisms in place to ensure that there's that general access nationwide or globally to this much needed education.
And how does someone balance between work and classes? Because that is the elephant in the room.
Yeah, great job. Well, it's all about how we program ourselves. Fortunately, unlike in secondary or even primary education, where you're supposed to be there full-time, in the universities and in the technical training colleges, we have classes just going for maybe 4 hours in a day or 6 hours in a day, and you have the rest for research, for work, and such. So it's very much possible that you just have your timetable. Probably your class is at 2 p.m. In the morning, you can open your business. You can run your enterprise. You can have sources of raising revenues. So one is not bound to stay full day per se, but you just need to come for specific hours for training. Sometimes classes can even start from 4 p.m. Honestly, you have entire 8 hours to work. If classes start in the afternoon, then you can work overnight, have a little sleep in the morning, report to class, then go back to work.
Interesting. Now, this is a digital native generation. everything. I saw there's a clip that someone was being robbed and then anasema ngoja kidogo, ngoja ni Google niulize ChatGPT. You know, everything they're asking the social media. And where they're going to find help, they're entrepreneurs and successful billionaires who sometimes you hear them saying, if you're in college, leave that and go start a business. And they're saying that in social media, there's a lot of things you can learn. There's YouTube, there's Fiverr, there's all these online platforms that you can learn. Do you think that is devaluing the idea of going to campus like it used to be in the past?
Well, it's unfortunate, though, that if we have to over-rely on that, then probably we're making very wrong steps. Because when we talk about technical training, we are looking at the skills, the hands-on, which we may not obtain per se 100% via digital media. The digital media may assist us much on the theoretical concepts, like the non-practicals. But when you talk about now the technical skills, for us to be fully molded to fit and offer our services to the expectation of the nation, then we've got to spare some time and go to class physically. Let me give you an example. If you are to be trained as an engineer, let's talk about electrical engineer, and you're learning this via the social media. What level of learning has taken place, really? Because you're simply observing, but you've not practiced it yourself. Although there's much knowledge you're likely to get through such online platforms, but when you practice it on yourself, there's more impact because you get to experience it firsthand and you also get to learn in the process. When you talk about courses like hospitality, you need to do something like food production, food service. Who are you going to serve online? Because when you're dealing with food service, you must have real people in a typical setup in a restaurant. You've produced food from the kitchen. You have now to serve them and demonstrate the service skills. And that now dictates the importance of going physically to class so that you really, really acquire that physically. So we must not outrule. I'm not saying that we are not appreciating the place of the digitization. We need to embrace both, but we just got to balance and ensure that when we are supposed to be physical, we go for the practical concepts and then the theoretical concepts. No problem, you can learn online.
Interesting. Now, in the past, there has been debates on reviewing the curriculum because they say that by the time it was being developed, it was targeting the market by then. But right now, you get many employees, HRs, and they're saying that, you know, these campus students, you employ them and then wakishafika, you now begin teaching them work. Do you think there's a gap between what tertiary institutions are teaching and what is actually in the market?
Well, I must recommend the Kenyan government because there's a lot that has happened, and I think it has happened because of the ability to benchmark and find out where we are supposed to be globally. You'll agree with me that in very few years ago, we used to have even ranking in secondary schools, and that led to a lot of mayhems. Today, we are going through what we call the CBC, competence-based curriculum, which is replacing the knowledge-based curriculum. And that to me is perfect because when you go the competency-based education, then we are putting emphasis on skills, what you are able to do, and not really competition on what you have scored. We are looking at the process. For you to get that grade A, what process have you gone through? Or we are just looking at the final outcome. So the learning is supposed to be assessed through the process of attaining the final grade and not on the basis of the final outcome, regardless of how that outcome came.
Interesting.
Because right now we have embraced that and we are doing very well. I'm very glad that with that we are going to even make more progress in the technological know-how. And again, I have to congratulate the State Department of TVET Education and also the Ministry of Education. in the recent reports, the 2023-2024 reports that was done by the World Federation of Colleges and Polytechnics, Kenya School of TVET, for instance, emerged third globally. And that puts a lot of faith in our TVET institutions, because this is an institution which is supposed to equip the learners with training skills. So we start from the top. Once the lecturer has the right skills, then we are very confident that the skills are going to be imparted to the learners very successfully. So there is no doubt that as a country we are on the right path, especially through the introduction of the competency-based education, which is currently being assessed by the CDAC, Curriculum Development, Assessment and Certification Council. 100%.
So there is hope for the future of TVET.
Absolutely.
And what do you think is the reason why of late someone gets an A-, a B+, and then that person decides, you know what, I'm not going to campus, I'm not going to do that degree, I'm going for a TVET. What do you think is the sudden cause of this shift?
Well, yes, that's right, and I agree with you. The truth of the matter is that when you go through the TVET education, the duration tends to be long. And the longer the duration, the more the skills you are likely to acquire. And I want to demonstrate through typical courses like fashion and design, where you are likely to start from the artisan level, probably. So in the artisan level, the emphasis is on the practicals, what you're able to do. And even the examination that you're going to do at the end of that course, much assessment will be on the practical skills. And even in the engineering courses, like the electrical installation, automotive engineering, food production, food and beverage production and service, such courses. When you go to the certificate level, again, it's a continuation of the practicals from the artisan level. So you are likely to be subjected to more practicals in the certificate level. By the time you are going to the diploma level, you have almost been overwhelmed by the amount of practicals that you are undergoing, because you are again going to do another 3 modules. And like when you are progressing from certificate, you're going to start from module 2, then you go to module 3, and all of them are going to be practicals based. When you compare that with a direct entry to the university, there's a lot that happens. Yes, they do practicals, I'm not outruling that, but probably when they look at the vigorous nature of the practicals through the TVET institutions, then we are likely to have more weight, because one is going to go 3 consecutive steps, and every step is assessed through serious practicals and even attachments. Because when you go through the artisan level, you go for attachment, you come back, you upgrade to certificate, you go for attachment again, you are now assessed in the field, you come back to the diploma level, you again go to attachment, and it is just exclusive. And that could explain the reason why many students today may opt to go for the technical education in TVET institutions as opposed to direct entry into the university.
I was reading an article yesterday, and it said that most employers are employing graduates from TVETs rather than those who have done degree. Do you think that research is accurate?
Well, I wouldn't say it's accurate or not, because I'm sure they had their sources of data, which are supposed to be scientific and therefore scientifically proven. But what I'll concur with is that when we talk about the employers going for the TVET graduates, you know, we have what we call the Joakal industry. And it's all about the perception, the mind of the game. Because the general perception from direct graduates from the university is that they're supposed to be in the office graduates. But then from the TVET, it's like you've been hardened to be in the sun, like your entire life you've been going through those training the field in the practicals. Yes, practicals and all that. So there's that perception that this is somebody who's already used to this nature of job that I'm going to hire him from. And probably that's why now the employers are going for the diplomas and the certificate graduates from the technical education. But nevertheless, even with the diploma and with the certificate, my advice is that we must not be content with what we have. Having a diploma does not mean that your life is ending there. You've got to go back to that campus that you ran away from for a degree, because now the middle level colleges do not have the mandate to offer degree programs. These are specifically offered in the universities. So for whatever course that somebody has obtained, even with that employment, they have to go back to the universities, identify a course, or if it's a progression from the similar course, then they have got to move and have that degree progress to higher levels. They become senior lecturers in our institutions, because we don't want to import labor. It is unheard of that we should have lecturers coming from other countries to come and teach in our own institutions. We need to develop our own staff. And the best staff, actually, these were starting from the artisan certificate, diploma degree, undergraduate degree, postgraduate degrees, because they have got all that. And if you have a lecturer, probably who has been trained through all these stages, and this lecturer is now teaching a certificate student or a diploma student or an artisan student, honestly, this lecturer has that experience. Because at one point he was there at that level, as opposed to somebody who has just gone to degree, who may not understand what really happens here at the certificate level. So we really need to encourage that progression. As much as the diploma graduates are being employed, they need to go back and upgrade and earn a degree for betterment of their own lives and also for the general productivity of our country.
Would you say that there are specific courses which are marketable than others, and what are they?
Yes. True. In my own assessment and through the experience of my capacity as principal, Starehe Technical Training College, I've seen students make very good decisions. And some of these decisions that they make is on the nature of the courses that they take. When we have courses that are technical in nature, then they are very marketable, and one can never regret from pursuing them. The reason I'm saying that is when you have a technical course, you have almost 80 to 90% chances of employing yourself. You don't wait to be employed. You do a course, and as you wait to be employed, you're already doing it either in your own farm, in your own foundation, or in your own business setup. If, for example, you've done hospitality course, chances of opening your own restaurants are very high, because even if you're going to employ employees there, you're already an expert in your own self, and you're using that skills now to run your own hotel. If you've done mechanical engineering, you've got to start your own garage, and it's already employment in its own. When we have other courses like electrical engineering, even in the neighborhood, they'll be looking for you. There's some power issues, they'll be looking for you. You're already earning. Then we have the business courses, which are supposed to guide you and give you the entrepreneurial skills, because they're supposed to train you on how to run the businesses. And I'm very glad that through the curriculum of Kenya, the trainees are educated on how to come back up with business plans and research projects before they complete their studies, because these are the projects that they're going to use now to initiate their own ventures in future. Because where we are messing probably as a country is that we tend to over-rely on employment, and that's where we keep saying that I've graduated with this and I've not received any employment. You know, when you look at the population of the country versus the number of jobs that are available, they don't match. So the only option that we have is to first of all embrace any curriculum that will promote technical training, like the CBC or the CBET, so that people employ themselves. We also have courses that are almost naturally good. For example, when you talk about foreign languages, talk of German, talk of French, talk of Spanish, which we all offer, by the way, at our institution, Starehe Technical. In Kenya, in the month of August, in the month of December, there is a lot of movement towards the coast. Tourists are coming from foreign lands. But when you talk about tourist, this is not a native. This is somebody who is a foreigner. And the possibility of having a language that we don't understand ourselves is also very high. When you talk about people from Anglophone states, they're French-speaking countries. And if we study French as a course, which takes you just 6 months, you're going to work as an interpreter, and that's direct employment, because you go into the touristic sites, they need the tour guides, and we need somebody who can speak Spanish. We need somebody who can speak German. We need somebody who can speak French. You're not going to stay in the house because there's no job, because people will be looking for you, and people who study these courses are also very few. So these are the things that we also need to look at on a very serious note. When you talk about other courses like Kenya Sign Language, we have so many forums where we need inclusivity, where we're supposed to have interpreters through the Kenya Sign Language. Now, these are the rare courses that we really need to encourage the youth to take. Any course. Look at something like plumbing. It's unfortunate that people look at that course as a very low-paying or low-laying course, but the truth of the matter is that today they are the most sought, because you'll not have any single construction, whether in the city or in the rural, that will not require the efforts of a plumber. But even if that building is already complete, the plumbing work is existent for life, because at one point we'll have issues with the shower, we'll have issues with the bathtub, we'll have issues with the sink and all that, the washroom. The plumber will always be hired. Now, these are the courses that we need to keep embracing. You talk about things like fashion and design. What I'm wearing has been done by a designer. What you are wearing has been done by a designer. And we have the mitumba soko, what you call this mitumba market. What if you just have your garment, you make your outfits, you take them to the market, or you have your stall? You're employed. You'll never at any one point in life say, I'm waiting for the government to employ you. Let employment get you on the way, but start from somewhere. Don't be stuck. And there's no regret, and I want now to appeal to those who are listening to this show that it's all about the passion again, because whichever the course that you choose, don't choose it because somebody has chosen it and you've seen the person has become successful.
Very important.
You must choose it because, one, you have a passion for it. I once witnessed somebody in the village who went to study something because the father studied it. And the best example normally is education. Where I come from, if your father is a teacher, you have no, you have to become a teacher because you're doing it because your father is a teacher. But the question is that your line? Is that your passion? And also I need to appeal with the parents. I need to appeal to the parents that please, as we see our children grow, let us be patient enough to realize in time where their line is. We can tune that very comfortably into something that will make them get employed successfully without diverting their attention into something because a neighbor did it, or you are told by somebody that it is good. Well, it could be good, but it may not be really what that child is into. So these are the factors to consider when choosing courses, and also in realizing that the course is progressive and has to be taken.
Now, as we conclude, is a career mismatch a problem? Like, is it, should I say a crime? Because we've talked about choosing a career because your parent did it, or we say that there's a lot of pressure for these young people when they finish KCSE for them to determine their life. And some of them may choose a career path, and then later on, during the journey, they realize, this is not what I want to be, or this is not for me. And then they move to another field, or they just finish it, conclude it, and then end up being employed in something different that it's not even related to what they do. Is career mismatch a normal thing, or is it an abnormality?
Well, it's a normal thing. It's not an abnormality, but it can be tamed at the very beginning. We are getting into that because we are not able to guide our learners from the very word go. just at the stance of identifying a course. That's where the guidance is supposed to come. That comes because somebody went to a course and had not received sufficient guidance. Then when they realize this is not working, they're evacuating it into something else that they have a feeling is working. And that now explains the importance of ensuring that before a learner gets to college or a university to pursue a course, let there be enough counseling and guidance on what to go for. And what can be done is probably to seek expertise from those who've been in that sector for some time, so that this student is guided to take the right thing. But there must be no chance for regrets, because if we regret in life, we are not going to make progress. But again, we should not be very, very not flexible. We have to be very flexible. If you realize it's not working and it is still not late, the better. After all, there's no offense doing 2 or 3 courses. They are just increasing your chances of earning and also the stature. I remember that life today, unfortunately, has identified us and put us in social class based on education and occupation. Occupation is shaped by education, and that puts emphasis a lot on education. So let us treat that with weight and ensure that we go for the right courses so that we don't have any chance of regretting from educational choices mismatch. That will lead us to regrets, hating ourselves, and even taking our lives, as we've witnessed in some scenarios where somebody is stressed and has passed on.
Okay. I've seen organizations like Middle East and Africa Future Leaders Challenge, where learners come together, bring their ideas, share with the experts. Is that also a case? Do you have such forums? And also, what does Starehe offer? As we conclude, you can tell us about what it offers, if it has such forums for students to come and share their opinions, and also you can give an invitation to our viewers at home.
All right. Great, Sylvia, for that. Thank you. Yes, we have expos, and we also have our partnering institutions. For example, recently we had an invitation to attend a Chinese festival through the Confucius Institute of the University of Nairobi. We expose our students to Chinese culture, and we also expose them to sponsorship sponsorship programs that are available through such partnerships. We have many courses that are available at Starehe Technical Training College, both BTEP and technical courses. We have KSNEB programs. By the way, KSNEB professional programs are among the best courses also. Talk about the CPA, talk about the ATD, talk about the CIFA, the CS. Those are professional programs that are training our accountants, because accounting is one of the key sectors in our economy today. We also have the technical programs, and we are putting a lot of emphasis on the practicals so that we ensure that our graduates are fully trained. We have the ICT, because we're also trying to appreciate the place of digitization and the digital ventures. We have courses like business now, the real business courses, several courses. They're available in our website, www.starehettc.com, alongside the fee structures. And the sponsorship, 50% or 100%. We have intakes that are coming in March. I want to invite all the candidates who sat Form 4 2024, 2023, 2022, or in the previous years, that education is dynamic. And there is no limitation for accessing education. There is no age limit. We need to come, identify a course, pursue it with the right guidelines, and we are going to make our country better and progressive.
Interesting. You've not made an... Oh, you've said the fee structure is on the website, everything is on the website. Very interesting.
Yes, generally we charge 12,000 per term. Just imagine 12,000. So there's no option for not going, because the high schools charge 60, 80, 100. 12,000 tuition fee.
And you can also work as you do it.
You can
so
also
it's
work
affordable.
as you study.
Okay, very interesting. Any last words for especially this is for a Form 4, someone who did their Form 4 and they're stuck with their certificates, not knowing what to do with them. Last advice to that person.
Well, the first is to appreciate the Form 4s who scored all the grades that they got. There's no failure. In my own perspective, there's no failure in life. Everything we do is just a chance to improve. Let's accept ourselves with whatever we have and take the next step. Let us not stick with what we have because we are going to be stagnant. With a grade D minus, we have courses with a grade D plane, D plus, C minus, C plane, even C plus and all that. Make a bold step in identifying a course based on your interest, what you are able to pursue in your life. We are going to guide you to ensure that you graduate and pursue your dream career and also support you to go all the way to degree and postgraduate degrees.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for making time.
Well,
Now to our gentle viewer at home, we have today demystified the intellectual apathy that there is no need of going to campus, there is no need of attending school, that I can be successful. Most of these influencers or most of these people who tell you leave your college degree and venture into business, they're giving you solutions that are not sustainable. They make you think that success is an easy step to go, which isn't successful. Most of them are having courses that they do at home. Most of them are having trainers who train them, or they're paying experts to do their work. So get yourself that certificate, get yourself to that TVET, get yourself, and you have heard our guests say there's no excuse of getting education. You can work and you can be in school at the same time. You can find balance between the two. So this is On the Launch with Jared Ochieng, Principal Stare Technical Training College. Thank you so much for making time. And coming up next is the newspaper review this morning, which is quite interesting because, you know, everything that is concerning the state of the nation is the matters of the heart, especially to the young people. We are joined by Jacob Samuel, who is the 19th KUSA Speaker of Kenyatta University. Stay tuned for that discussion.